Hey, this is Jody with weldingtipsandtricks.com, and thanks for watching another weekly video. This week's video, we're welding up some high-strength steel parts. They look kind of like stainless steel because of the finish on them, but they're high-strength steel. But we're going to talk a little bit about what we would do if these were stainless steel on limiting discoloration as we go. Now, someone asked recently about why so many TIG videos, and I know I'm a little heavy on TIG videos, but here's the reason why. This is a typical job. I work in a machine shop. This is a typical little short production run. They want them clean. Now these will probably go in a tumbler, a vibratory polishing tumbler when they're done. It'll put a nice matte finish on them. But oftentimes we would weld parts like this made out of stainless steel, and we'd want to weld them and pretty much ship them. We wouldn't want to do anything to them. So that means we don't want to have to clean off MIG, spatter, or anything else. Even though the weld might go faster, MIG welding, the overall job will be a lot quicker using TIG. And it'll look better and more precise and less likely to booger some machined surface up. So you can take our time and put the filler rod exactly where we need it. So this is gravy work. This is these fit together like a glove. They've got a little machine slot in them, and one piece fits in there, and it's pretty much a tight fit. And so what I'm going to do first, just hold them with one hand and get a little quick fusion tack on the very ends, right there where that piece is in the slot, just enough to hold them together, because they really can't go anywhere. It's such a tight fit. But I do need them to be located and not shift when I'm moving them around. So I am going ahead and putting one tack on each end without filler, just a little quick, light fusion tack. Now jobs like this, sometimes it's just much easier to hold in one hand and use the TIG torch with the other. You can see I've sped the film up quite a bit here, but I can get them all tacked up pretty quickly. So if I was wanting to prevent discoloration on a stainless part like this, I'd use a big cup like this with about a 1-inch diameter. And even though I've got a big torch here, I'm using a stubby, what's called a stubby gas lens kit. You can get them from CK Worldwide, and they'll screw in your big torch, a 17 or a 26 air-cooled, and you can use the small hardware off of a 9 or 20 style torch. And I've got this this big cup is threaded for the small style torch, but I can use it with this big one, and it makes it actually the torch a little nicer to use using the small hardware on it. And I can extend that electrode out much farther than I've got it here. I've got it probably a good 1.25 inches. But if I wanted to limit discoloration, I'd put it on a little purge box like this, also called a backup box. It's just made from perforated copper and some tubing run up inside there with some diffuser material. And I would hook an argon hose up to it and run maybe 10 CFH in that backup box while I use this big cup, and that would prevent discoloration from both sides as I weld it. But don't want to waste that argon today, don't want to take the time, so I'm just going to use a little chill block to draw the heat out and help limit discoloration. Just a piece of copper, an old drift that I have in my toolbox. And what you're looking at there is a piece of split loom polyloom that I use for kind of a poor man's torch cable cover. I'm using 1/16 electrode and 1/16 filler metal, about 90 amps. And with this big cup, I'm probably using, if I remember right, it was about 25 or 30 CFH. And that uses a lot of argon, so it's one of those things you don't want to use for every single job. Just use it when you need it. But it sure does come handy when you need it, when you don't want to have any discoloration, or hardly any. So the base metal and the cutting fluids and everything that are coming out are kind of help discolor that base metal around it. But see, the weld itself is pretty much silver. Pretty much zero discoloration in the weld. We'll do the second one here. You heard that surge of gas when I hit the foot pedal. It's a good idea if you don't have a pre-flow on your machine. You just tap the gas and kind of manually pre-flow it for a second, just if nothing else, to avoid that big surge. Sometimes on delicate work, that surge can really disrupt the arc start. Tapering off to nothing, and now you can need a high post flow on something like this, like close to 20 seconds or 25 seconds. Otherwise, it'll still discolor even with the big argon cup on there. So the weld's pretty much silver there. So again, About 20 of these all done. I put the smaller gas lens on there to finish them up just so I wouldn't use up all my argon today. Another real popular use for a big cup like this is getting inside tight corners. This is not all that tight, but there are headers and exhaust assemblies and everything that it really comes in handy on. Another trick is to use foil to kind of help trap the argon up in there if you don't have a big cup. But with this big cup, you can reach up inside tight areas, foil or no foil, and you can get her done. Well, thanks for watching, and visit weldingtipsandtricks.com.